Recent findings of a complex system of tunnels beneath the Giza Pyramids may provide new insights into the everyday lives, burial practices, and architectural prowess of the ancient Egyptians. It is hoped by archaeologists that this discovery will transform our knowledge of one of the most well-known civilizations in history. Number 1. Tunnels of Giza. The Great Sphinx at Giza, Egypt, has long been the focus of controversy. Numerous hypotheses claim that this mysterious ancient archaeological monument has hidden rooms and tunnels. There are rumors of a hall of records, and modern scientific research has revealed potential Sphinx chambers. Famous Egyptologists Zahi Hawass and Mark Lehner found and excavated a remarkable off-limits hallway in the monument's rear in the 1970s. The only public records of the 3 weeks they spent excavating this tunnel were these still photos and a 16-page report. Even though they discovered nothing beneath, things start to become intriguing at this point. The tunnel's hole is not visible in these photos, and they do not depict its path. Number 2. Chamber at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Western Cemetery, which is beneath the majestic Great Pyramid of Giza, is the resting place of hundreds of rectangular tombs, or mastabas. These aristocratic individuals' tombs, which belong to King Khufu's relatives, display the magnificence of ancient Egypt. However, among the neat rows of mastabas, there's a curious outlier, an empty sand area free of any buildings. Archaeologists have recently discovered a hidden world beneath this apparently lonely region. Researchers from Tohoku University, Higashi Nippon International University, and the National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics in Egypt used modern equipment to find an L-shaped structure buried only a few feet below the surface. This structure's very sharp corners indicate that it was made by humans. There's a bigger, linked structure much deeper. The team mapped these underground anomalies between 2021 and 2023 using electrical resistivity tomography, ERT, and ground-penetrating radar. While ERT discovered deeper structures, including a 1,000 square-foot building buried up to 33 feet below Earth, GPR offered high-resolution photos of superficial features. The sand-filled, shallower L-shaped construction may have been a doorway to a deeper tomb that the ancient Egyptians intentionally kept hidden. But there are still a lot of unsolved questions. What's inside the deeper framework? Archaeologists have started excavating the site in an effort to unravel these puzzles and uncover more information about this ancient necropolis. Number 3. The purpose of pyramids. Ancient Egypt's pyramids are more than just magnificent structures. They represent evidence of the society's deep respect for the afterlife. The pharaohs built these enormous buildings as their permanent residences, guaranteeing their passage to the afterlife. For the Egyptians, dying marked the start of a magnificent journey into eternity rather than its conclusion. Since everyone's continuous existence was thought to depend on their king's eternal journey, building the pharaoh's tomb was a shared responsibility for the whole world. The size of the burial area, when viewed from above, creates a striking image of life in the royal court. The busy work of the pyramid-building crews is shown in hieroglyphs on the walls of the tombs. The stones they placed would one day become monuments to their labor. These inscriptions list the names of the labor gangs that gave their lives to construct these colossal tombs for their god-kings. Number 4. Old Egyptian documents. At the historic Red Sea port of Wadi El Jaf, a group of French and Egyptian archaeologists made a groundbreaking discovery in 2013. The oldest papyrus fragments discovered in Egypt were among the hundreds of inscribed pieces they uncovered. Among these, a diary from Pharaoh Khufu's 27th year of rule offered previously unheard-of information concerning the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The logbook, written by Mercer, a middle-ranking inspector, records the day-to-day activities involved in building the pyramid more than 4,500 years ago. According to Mera's notes, the Nile River and a network of canals were used to move limestone blocks from the Tura quarries to the pyramid site. The trip took 2 to 3 days. Almost 800 fragments were sent to the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities once they were found. In Cairo, the Egyptian Museum has 6 of these papyri on exhibit. Number 5. alignment with the stars. The way the Egyptian pyramids line up with the stars has always intrigued Egyptologists and archaeologists, sparking debates and triggering wonder. According to some academics, the purpose of the ancient Egyptians' careful alignment of the pyramids was to worship the gods and bring their society into harmony with the universe. Some argue that the pharaohs used these alignments for useful functions like timekeeping or navigation. According to an intriguing hypothesis, Osiris, the deity of the afterlife, is symbolized by the pyramid's alignment with the stars in the constellation Orion. The pyramids would have gained divine meaning from this cosmic connection that united the land and the sky. Another hypothesis connects the pyramids with even more powerful deities, an alignment with the stars in the constellation Leo, which stands for the solar god Ra. Evidence suggests that the pyramids may have been built to coincide with the winter solstice dawn, which only increases the mystery. For the ancient Egyptians, this event, the sun rising after the longest night of the year, signified the start of a new year and was of the greatest importance. Number 6. The Workers' Village. The amazing city of Hayt al-Ghurab, located on the southeast of the Giza Plateau, was home to the laborers who built the pyramid complexes of Khafre and Menkaure. Archaeologists have uncovered interesting remains of an even older village beneath this metropolis that may have existed during Khufu's rule. They found residences, magazines, 3 main streets, a royal administrative palace, and 4 enormous galleries that were probably used as barracks where laborers slept and cooked within the city walls. Large amounts of fish, bird, cattle, sheep, goat and pig bones have been found, indicating that the state made sure the laborers were fed and kept in good health to handle the physically taxing task of building pyramids. The town's cemetery, which is next to Hayt al-Ghurab, tells a vivid story of the life of the people who constructed the pyramids. On the hillside, overseers with lower status were buried in simple mastabas with smaller tombs surrounding them, which may have belonged to their families or the laborers they oversaw. Large stone mastabas, further up the slope, housed skilled craftsmen and higher-ranking overseers. These were primarily built of mud brick. The beautifully adorned final resting place of Nefertiti, the royal house of cleansing and overseer of linen, is one of these distinguished tombs. Evidence of hard physical labor, such as bandaged fractures, demonstrates the laborers' demanding lifestyles and their availability of first-rate healthcare. Number 7. The boat pits. Long, narrow, mysterious diggings were found scattered between the pyramids of the queens and along the causeway to the east and south of the king's pyramid. The ancient boats that were said to have been used for the king's last journey to his burial were partially broken and found in these pits. Reassembled from imported cedar wood from Lebanon, one such boat now stands majestically next to the king's pyramid in the Boat Museum. Its 43.3-meter prow and stern, which are a tribute to the artistry of the past, resemble papyrus stalks. Examined in the 1980s, the other southern dig included a deconstructed watercraft that had been left untouched in its original condition. The southern pits are not inside the limits of the pyramid complex, in contrast to the eastern pits, which are outside the now lost enclosure wall. This implies an alternative meaning. The southern boats were not a part of the king's funerary cult for his ascension into the afterlife, whereas the eastern boats were. The fact that the boats were taken apart rather than destroyed, and that the southern pits are rectangular in shape as opposed to the eastern ones that are shaped like boats, suggests that the boats were used in the royal funeral. Number 8. The Bent Pyramid. The Bent Pyramid, a remarkable example of ancient construction, got its name from the way it was shaped. The top half was constructed at an angle greater than the bottom, giving it a characteristic curve. This pyramid, which was once dubbed the Southern Shining One, is located at Dash's southern boundary and represents Pharaoh Sneferu's ambitious construction effort. Sneferu tried to innovate at Dasha after giving up on the step pyramid at Medum. His change in style, which represents the solar worship and the primordial hill from where life originated, is a reflection of a shift in ideology. The core of the Bent Pyramid shows that it was originally a smaller pyramid with a sharp 60 degrees incline. Due to structural instability brought on by the sandy land, a 54 degrees gentler slope had to be built around it for stability. But halfway up, the slope was further decreased to 43 degrees out of concern of collapse. The two internal constructions, each with a separate entrance on the north and west, are what make this pyramid special. These led to burial chambers and antechambers that were built with corbelled roofs to withstand the enormous pressure inside the pyramid. More support was given by cedar scaffolding, which demonstrated creative engineering. The experimental aspect of the bent pyramid was also evident in its southern satellite pyramid, which had design elements that were eventually found in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Even after it was finished, with satellite buildings and a funerary chapel included, Sneferu decided to be buried in the nearby Red Pyramid. Number 9. The construction of the pyramids. Building the pyramids of ancient Egypt was filled with difficulties, chief among them being the huge undertaking of raising huge blocks of stone to enormous heights. The tried-and-true technique consisted of creating sloping mud brick and rubble ramps and extending them as the pyramid climbed. Along these ramps, workers dragged sleds loaded with blocks to guarantee steady progress. It is likely that each pyramid needed more than one ramp, with the length and width adjusted to sustain the expanding construction without collapsing. Ramp arrangements continue to be a topic of debate. Some propose that ramps be positioned along stepped constructions to facilitate the material's progressive ascension. Surprisingly, some pyramids show an implicit knowledge of pi in their dimensions. This may have been accomplished by hand rather than via algorithms. True pyramids were internally constructed with buttress walls that surrounded a central core and curved outward in height. This step-like structure, which was filled with packing and casting blocks similar to limestone to finish the pyramid's form, improved stability. Number 10. The sound design of pyramids. Scholars and academics continue to be fascinated by the intriguing mystery surrounding the resonant frequency of the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Some claim it was designed as a sacred space, with its resonant frequency acting as a sonic key for heavenly communication. Some people suggest that it could be used for healing or to create altered states of awareness. The question of whether the builders of the pyramid accidentally discovered this frequency or if it was purposefully planned is also up for debate. The king chamber, which sits at the center of the pyramid, is made of solid rose granite, which is perfect for reflecting and enhancing sound waves. Its precise measurements of 10.47 meters in length, 5.23 meters in width, and 5.81 meters in height are thought to have been made to resonate at a frequency of about 117 Hertz. It's possible that the ancient Egyptians used primitive tactics like chanting or clapping to detect this frequency, but modern techniques verify its exact measurement. Number 11. Mummification process. The ancient practice of mummification, which kept the dead, has fascinated people from all over the world. Mummies frequently appear in the media as unsettling artifacts, bringing up pictures of clothed beings wandering through historical passageways. Mummification was a deeply religious and cultural tradition that went beyond sensationalism in order to respect the deceased and protect their passage to the afterlife. Mostly performed by members of the aristocracy and nobility, the complex mummification rituals of the ancient Egyptians are well known. In order to preserve the deceased's integrity for the upcoming spiritual journey, a tedious procedure included removing internal organs, preserving the body with salts and resins, and wrapping the body in cloth. Numerous societies, such as the South American Chinchorro people and the European Ötzi the Iceman, employed various methods of preservation, either by accident or design. These many customs demonstrate humanity's persistent effort over space and time to understand and accept mortality. Mummification is still a symbol of ancient innovation and respect for the dead. Number 12. Water supply. During the Old and New Kingdoms, c. 2543, 1077 BC, water management in ancient Egypt was controlled by a simple state machinery. Relying more on labor than complex infrastructure, administrators managed the movement of water from rural sources to urban centers, as demonstrated by the water carriers of Deir el-Medina. Egypt's hydraulic civilization represented on a mace head by King Scorpion's canal digging depended heavily on water control. This authority connected the management of floods, which are important for agriculture and represent kingship, to political power. Pharaonic organizations gave the vizier control over water management, especially irrigation, which encouraged bureaucratic examination. Number 13. Purpose of complex layout. The towering structures known as the ancient Egyptian pyramids were built with both practical and spiritual purposes in mind. They were made of stacked blocks with a flat base and sloping triangle sides that met at a point. Their pyramidal structure offered unmatched stability against wind and earthquakes while distributing weight evenly to prevent collapse, an essential achievement for millennium-old monuments. In Egyptian mythology, pyramids represented the sun and the afterlife and were considered sacred places where pharaohs could enter the world of gods. Sunlight was reflected by its sloping sides, and the skies were symbolized by the apex, an architectural testament to cosmic ascent and heavenly connection. The Egyptians were able to construct massive monuments that represented the majesty and enduring legacy of their monarchs because of the practical simplicity of the pyramid's geometry, which allowed for the effective use of advanced construction techniques. Number 14. Peru Pyramids. Tucked down in the harsh terrain of prehistoric Peru, Caral is a monument to the rich archaeological tapestry of America. Considered the oldest city on the continent, Caral's enormous ruins reveal a complex community in which colossal constructions fulfilled both ceremonial and governmental purposes. Caral defies traditional chronologies of early American history because it predates even the famous Olmec civilization. Its origins and cultural practices are still mostly unknown. The Great Temple of Caral is a colossal structure whose exact construction date is still a mystery to researchers. Geoglyphs surrounding it, carved into the desert floor, show a striking look, whose meaning has been lost to time. These mysterious glyphs provide information about the spiritual practices and navigational intelligence of the prehistoric residents of Caral, suggesting that they may have spiritual or even astronomical significance. Number 15. The Ziggurat of Ur. Iraq and Iran are home to the magnificent stepping pyramids, or ziggurats, that date back thousands of years to ancient Mesopotamia. Among these marvels of architecture, the Ziggurat of Ur is a monumental representation of Sumerian creativity and religious devotion. This massive building, which was painstakingly restored in the 1980s after being painstakingly excavated for almost a century, previously held the sacred Nana Temple, which was devoted to the moon goddess Nana. The mysterious grandeur of the Nana Temple, which formerly capped the summit of the Ziggurat of Ur, is still a mystery, despite the fact that the monument itself has been examined extensively. Ruins of its characteristic blue-glazed bricks provide intriguing hints, but modern reconstruction fails to reveal the temple's actual shape. The ziggurat was not just the center of society, but also a temple in Sumerian cities of antiquity. Acting as a center for government and religion, it represented wealth and power from above. Here, priests controlled the city's grain stocks and its irrigation systems, giving them significant political and social power. Number 16. Great Pyramid of Cholula. The Iglesia of Nuestra Señora de los Remedios sits on a commanding rise with a stunning view of Cholula, Mexico's metropolis. Beneath its exterior lies a little-known fact. The church is actually situated atop the Great Pyramid of Cholula, one of the biggest pyramids in antiquity. Amazingly, this colossal structure was barely visible until the early 1900s, its size hidden from view after the destruction caused by the Spanish conquest in the 16th century. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, which was built more than 2,000 years ago, is a mysterious mystery to researchers. There are many unanswered questions about its building techniques, the design of its abandoned temple complex, and the reason for its levels. Every layer reveals a unique tale that is just waiting to be unraveled by modern scientists who carefully uncover its mysteries. Number 17. Hidden Lakes. The pyramids of Teotihuacan are huge prehistoric wonders that are full of strange mysteries. One of the three enormous pyramids at this archaeological wonder, the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, has a hidden room beneath it that is filled with incredible treasures. In this scene, human tooth necklaces and sculptures of jaguars coexist with an odd little world made up of lakes, glittering mercury pools, and mountains. Mercury poses perplexing questions because it was quite uncommon in ancient Mexico. With their primitive technology, how could the Aztecs extract and move this rare element? What function did these captivating mercury lakes fulfill in the hallowed chamber? Scholars and adventurers alike are intrigued by the mysteries surrounding the answers to these puzzles. Number 18. The Nubian Pyramids of Sudan. A fascinating collection of around 200 ancient pyramids, which served as the kings and queens of the Meroitic Kingdom's tombs, is tucked away along the banks of the Nile in eastern Sudan. With almost 2,000 Kushite pyramids compared to Egypt's 200, these Nubian pyramids, constructed by the Black Pharaohs, are both older and more numerous than the well-known pyramids in Egypt. These granite and sandstone pyramids, which were built between 2,700 and 2,300 years ago, include features from pharaonic Egypt, Greece, and Rome. They show a long history of rivalry, cultural interchange, and bilateral trade with ancient Egypt. The first three pyramid sites are in the Napata region. The two most important ones are at Nuri and the vast Meroe burial site. Number 19. A pyramid hidden in the jungle. The capital of the Khmer Empire was suddenly moved from Angkor to Kokher, which was 60 kilometers away, in the 10th century by King Jayavarman IV. For under 2 decades, the abandoned region was converted into a thriving capital by this action, which historians are still unable to explain. The enormous 7-tiered pyramid, known as Prasat Tom, as well as several lesser temples, were built during this short time. Kokher was a center of architectural wonders and cultural enlightenment while being understudied and undervisited. Number 20. Why did the Egyptians stop building pyramids? The final royal pyramid was built in 1500 BCE. Then, pharaohs were interred close to Thebes in the Valley of Kings. Although the cause of the abandonment of pyramid burials is still unknown, there are a few ideas. According to one idea, people's fondness for underground burials resulted from religious shifts that occurred around 1500 BCE. In addition, unlike Memphis, Thebes's rocky topography made building pyramids challenging. In addition, tomb robberies were common, and the Valley of Kings' concealed geography offered more defense against marauders. According to a recent idea put out by engineer Peter James, the quick disintegration of the pyramids was caused by the enormous temperature changes that occurred in the Egyptian desert, which caused the limestone casings to expand and compress. Because of its distinct design, the bent pyramid has fared better than others. It is possible that the pharaohs chose more robust burial locations over pyramids after seeing the ruin of these magnificent monuments. Stay tuned as archaeologists explore these hidden passageways further, uncovering mysteries that could totally change our perception of the amazing legacy of history.